Welcome back to the lab. Quick little update on the March, but first of all, you guys didn't watch my previous video on the barbecue in the back of the V-Dub Combi. It's blooming cool and you should go and watch it. I did kind of screw you all up and put it out on a Thursday night or something, which is a bit different to what I normally do, but never mind. This will go out on the Sunday afternoon. You've seen the previous videos, or you might have. We put some vents on the side of the March to get some cold air into the engine bay in the back of the car there, obviously. I've had a bit of a muck around with the orientation of the mesh. It's pretty obvious, really. Airflow trying to go this way versus the mesh is going to work quite well compared to airflow trying to go that way. Because in case you can't see it on the camera, we'll go across the whiteboard here. Hang on. The surface of the mesh is a series of louvers, basically. If you have it orientated the correct way, the air flows in through these louvers quite nicely. If you have it orientated the wrong way, they actually deflect air off to a point. I was interested to see how much difference that makes. So I'm not going to show you now. I set up an experiment. A couple of big fans at the front here, batteries, airflow going this way, wand, piece of, it wasn't cotton wool, which was what people use. Normally it was a piece of welding wire with some paper on the end of it to see roughly what sort of airflow we were getting in there. I used my anemometer, which is in my drawer over there in my toolbox. I'm not going to show you that. And check for wind speed and all that sort of carry on. Fluffed around, change the orientation of the mesh. It's a lot, a big difference getting the orientation of that correct. So anyway, I found the mesh that I wanted to use that was available. It was a little bit short for the hole, but you can actually stretch it. So you'll see these holes at the back look slightly different to these holes in the middle here, because you can actually just pull it out a little bit further. So anyway, that's, I mean, boring, right? But look, and there's an air filter. So I moved the air filters. Originally they were hanging off the front of the turbochargers down there. So even with lots of cold air, look, you can see a gaping big hole in the side of the engine bay there and over there. Even with lots of cold air coming into here, they're not necessarily going to get lots of cold air to the air filters when they're hanging down in the front there, and the exhaust manifolds are probably pretty much glowing red hot just here. So it's a pipe and whatnot, put the filters up out there. There we go. So it cannot get any colder than that. Realistically, that's pretty good. I'm not going to fluff around with it any further. That's it. That's what it's got. If it's still got higher than desirable inlet air temperatures, I might look at the next option, which I don't really want to do, is ditch the water to air intercooler setup. I've fluffed around with that and got that pretty much as good as it can possibly be. If it doesn't work, it's got to go, at which point put some intercoolers out here and have those using the ducts, and maybe they might have to have fans, which put a lot of weight in the back of the vehicle and not much in the front. Actually takes some away from the front. Speaking of the front, this here, you've seen this, I've talked about this, mucked around with this. This section here is normally a bash bar that goes right across the whole front of the car, and then there's another one of these arrangements on the other side. That's all gone. We don't have any of that. So this was on the passenger side, sorry. Just here with the factory towing arrangement hanging out the front of it. That's a pretty weighty piece of gear. It's about 1.2 kgs, even after chopping and changing and butchering it to get it as light as possible without completely remaking the thing. And I've decided the best thing to do with that is to leave it out there somewhere. And I've cut up a harness that I wasn't using and created that arrangement there. So there's a nice aluminium plate. It's not going to go back in. Helm power thing. There we go. There's a nice aluminium plate to spread the load out across the bolts on the front of the chassis rail there. And then I've used, where are they? Some eyelets. Let's get this out of here, shall we? to show you. One of those. Eyelet into the plate, the nut on the back of it obviously, and a big washer. And that there, so we can clip it on and off. Is the rest of the harness that got chopped up. Basically we've got that arrangement, and then I've made a double slot version of that to do the typical loop around like you do with your harnesses and create a loop. So that's actually the one that was in the car and has been used for the last 6 years or so. I had a spare one for the passenger side which we're never going to install, and will expire in a couple of years time, 4 years time or something. So I've put it to use. I've put the brand spanking new one in the car, chopped up the old one, do this with it. It's 800 grams lighter. 800 grams is a reasonable amount in a race car where you're trying to get it light, but it just looks a little bit tidier. Like, it's not great, right? And this all needs a clean, and this is a bit beaten up around this general area, but it's just a bit nicer, a little bit lighter, and there we go. Right, that's it. That's our update for today. Watch that other video. Catch up on the ones that you haven't seen. I don't mind if you skip them, just watch them, give them a like, share, subscribe, and all that sort of carry on. One more video before Christmas will update you on what you can see hanging around down the back there. There's been some things happen on that. That's coming along nicely. All right, have a good night. Talk to you later. Cheers, bye.